and capacity enhancement of all stakeholders about the roles, functions, and methods of citizen engagement and the role of all participants are essential to the improvement of public management and indeed trust in government. That a trained and informed media should play a major role in highlighting citizens' concerns, particularly in addressing the issue of limited resources of island nations. It was agreed that there is an opportunity to increase public awareness and to address some issues of accountability and transparency through information being made available to the press to report on the activities of the governments within an enabling environment of freedom of expression. And finally, that a civic engagement process ought to be complemented by shared commitment to participation, establishing a framework of participation, establishing monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to assess both the processes and the outcomes of participation, and the creation of leadership values supporting participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Griffiths, for your participation. It is now my pleasure to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Jorge Arturo Reina, Minister of Governance and Justice of the Republic of Honduras, who will make the presentation on the regional forum which was recently held in Brasilia for Latin American countries.
Muy buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great honor for me to give the summary of the Regional Forum on the Reinvention of Government in Latin America. The forum was held in Brasilia from 2 to 4 May 2007. It was attended by top-level representatives from Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Cuba, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Venezuela. The forum set the following goals: to share experience, first, then to examine and discuss practices in the region, to identify means of helping to build trust in government, and initiating the process of building a virtual civic network of commitment to reinvention of government. The challenge of balancing social equity and economic growth was examined under 3 headings: citizens' expectations and trust in the state; 2, confidence building by means of governmental transparency; confidence building through improved access and provision of services. These topics were discussed in Brasilia by means of presentations of regional situations, country presentations, plenary meetings and discussion groups attended by top-level government officials and representatives of the private sector and civil society. The participants in the regional forum initially identified the main reasons why persons do not trust their governments. This includes the chronic and historical inequalities, poverty, social injustice, and the lack of an appropriate educational structure. In addition to that, there's the dominating presence of private economic interests which influence the affairs of state. This appears to generate lack of trust, influenced by the perceptions and situations in the client-consumer relations, and above all, in the challenge of fighting corruption. Other reasons for the lack of trust include a history of failure of economic plans in several countries in the region, private lobbies acting against the public interest, and an institutional policy which helped to diminish confidence, the people's confidence in the capacity of the state to attend to the public interest. Now, strategies for confidence building in government. Latin America has one of the lowest rates of trust in government in the world. The history of inequalities and unkept promises generated a serious lack of trust, not only in institutions, but sometimes in democracy itself as the preferred form of government. At the same time, I'm quite satisfied that the Regional Forum succeeded in identifying a promising scenario in terms of approaches, methodologies, and tools used by governments in the region to take up the challenges to governments. All of this is presented under the headings of the main topics of the forum. But in view of the shortage of time here, I would suggest that you consult the website of the Global Forum, which gives full details. Now, citizens' expectations and trust in the state. With regard to this first topic, citizens' expectations, two main challenges were identified. One, the promotion of civil rights as a means of reducing social inequalities. No democratic regime would deserve to be trusted if civil rights were constantly disregarded. Government should re-establish a balance between private economic interests and social demands by supporting development banks and encouraging cooperatives and also small and medium-sized rural businesses. Access to justice should be flexible without ignoring indigenous groups and rural dwellers, for example. Fulfilling promises and commitments. People normally don't trust politicians because they promise things that they don't deliver on. Participants in the forum stressed the importance of having politicians sharing explicit commitments and the actions which they are taking to carry out those commitments. Positive practices were discussed, including social and economic councils, as a channel for open communication between the people and the government, and an incentive to introduce participatory practices by means of an entirely public administrative process, including planning, budget, supply, expenditure, audits, and participatory evaluation. Next, building trust by means of transparency in government, participation, and access to information. The following challenges were identified. 1, to strengthen democracy and participation.